So hello everyone, my name is Yuhan. I'm from China, so I'm doing a DPhil in biology.
And I'm Billy. I study the MPP and I come from Tasmania, Australia.
Whenever I'm writing a personal statement, I always found the following questions very useful. The first one is, who am I? And the second one is, what do I want to do? And the third one is, why I am the person who will be able to do that. I feel like the criteria, they are very useful. They are a really good starting point to help me to gather my experience and my past memories. So I was going through these criteria and try to find my experiences that find relevant to them.
I think sometimes one of those four is going to stand out to you more. So in my context, service was a big part of what I had done in the years prior. So that one really stood out to me. You can really find a way, I guess, of connecting what you've done and your experiences and what you want to write in that statement to those criteria. They serve as a guiding point, but also as something you can sort of weave in quite naturally. And so I found it gave a really good structure. And to be honest, the personal statement was probably one of the components of the scholarship that came the most naturally.
Yeah, personal statement is personal. So please be authentic, be you, be who you are in that statement.
Yeah, definitely. And look, when it comes to this point of authenticity, I think one thing that's really important to remember is that when you actually get to Oxford, it is your authenticity that makes this place a very special place. I think if you had, I don't know how many students are here in Oxford, but if everyone was the same, it would be an incredibly boring place. And so the selection committee really recognises that. Rhodes Scholars have been diverse since the beginning of the scholarship. And so they really encourage you to embrace that, to understand the values that you bring to the table.
Probably personal statement is the only piece or the place where you can show who you really are. So do take the opportunity to express yourself.
Definitely. The way you can really approach something like Rhodes is understanding that you're going to get a lot out of it through the application process, through having to write your own narrative, being presented in front of interviewers who want to understand who you are, going through sometimes challenging processes and putting yourself under that kind of pressure. They're all immensely valuable skills. And so I remember early on being presented a framework which essentially encouraged me to think not only about the course I wanted to do at Oxford, but also actually the Rhodes Scholarship itself and why I want to be part of that type of community. And then finally, where I personally fit into that equation with my background and my context, what's going to make me a suitable person to go through that trajectory.
My piece of advice is actually to start early because it's always the first draft that I found the hardest.
I have some advice on AI. I would say that with a really strong word of caution. Writing the personal statement is actually a hugely beneficial process in and of itself. Mm-hmm. I think that going through that and developing your narrative and developing your story is an iterative process. It's one that encourages reflection. And if AI is slotting in a few key terms in there or shaping your narrative, it does actually really clearly show. But I would say that it very much infiltrates what is otherwise a really personal and reflective and empowering sort of process.
I completely agree with what you said, that the application process itself is very helpful. In my personal experience, writing the statement and going through the whole process make me to see myself more clearly. And because English is not my first language, so I do use AI to check the grammar, but that's all it can help me to do. So I keep using AI as a useful tool, but it cannot replace who am I. It cannot replace what are the motivations behind me writing this personal statement.
Definitely. For me, what being here in Oxford's taught me when I think back to my personal statement is my personal statement had a lot of conviction that that Oxford would be the right place for me and that I would be able to use the skills and values that I learned back at home and apply it to this context.
Whenever people ask me how to become a Rhodes Scholar, my simple advice is always just apply. Because I feel like many people don't have the confidence to apply even though they are already qualified. So just apply to it. Maybe your university, your subject didn't previously have a Rhodes Scholar. It doesn't mean you won't be the first one. So always the first step is to apply.